From the Siouxland News Studios, now in full HD, Larry Wentz. Siouxland News at 10 on KMEG 14 starts now.
A monster double tornado ripped through portions of northeast Nebraska, part of a system of tornadoes that struck Stanton, Cumming, and Wayne counties in Nebraska, leaving at least one person dead and more than a dozen injured after it slammed into the town of Pilger. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Larry Wentz. Here's a look at some of the damage that has taken place in Pilger. These shots courtesy of Brian Mendlick. This is a shot of the middle school after the twister blew through town. As you can see, the school and the community have been hit hard. Now, we have confirmed reports through Faith Regional Medical Center in Norfolk that there has been one fatality, 17 people injured. We don't know their conditions, and one person's been transferred to a hospital in Omaha. We also know the community has been sealed off by authorities in order to ramp up their recovery efforts. Siouxland News reporter Joe Bazzaccio was in Pilger for a while tonight, and he joins us now on the phone with the very latest on the situation. Joe, tell us what you saw this evening.
Well, Larry, it was quite a scene. I mean, there was emergency response from basically every type that you could imagine, and the devastation was pretty breathtaking, and these folks are going to have quite a while until their community is up and running again. And here's a look at the destruction left by the tornado in Pilger, a town of about 400. As you can see, it left a wide path of destruction. Highway 24 from Norfolk to Stanton and Highways 275 and 15 in Stanton County are closed, and drivers are being urged to stay off the road to allow emergency response. Sheriff Mike Unger said he's never seen anything like it.
I've been telling people for many, many years I've never seen a tornado at all in my life, and I grew up in northeast Nebraska. Well, I got my, wasn't a wish, but I got to see something today I wished I never would have seen.
Whole blocks of houses are destroyed, and all of the business district, our co-op is gone, all of the grain bins are gone.
And Governor Heineman has issued an official state of emergency to allow the National Guard to prep and be there tomorrow morning. And the governor himself plans to be there between 10:30 and 10:45 tomorrow morning, and so will we. Larry?
All right, thanks. Joe Bazzaccio reporting from Nebraska. Now let's go to Chad for just a little bit at how all of this set up today to make for a terrible afternoon of bad weather.
Certainly did, Larry. Showers and thunderstorms starting just to the west of Norfolk this afternoon, where ironically enough, seeing more showers and thunderstorms. You can see the heavy rain and very frequent lightning right now in the Norfolk area as traffic moves about pretty steadily out there at this hour. But again, it all started just to the west of Highway 81 earlier this afternoon, where we saw our first report of a tornado touchdown. Then it worked its way out of Madison County into Stanton and eventually into northern Cumming County, southern Wayne on up just to the southwest of Sioux City there. That was one of 7 different reports of tornadoes that we saw across northeast Nebraska, from Wakefield down towards, again, Pilger, Wisner, those areas that Joe talked about. A lot of damage being reported across northeast Nebraska this afternoon. In the meantime, we take a look at what's left. We still have plenty of rain and some severe warnings out there. Severe thunderstorm warning for Dakota, Dixon, and Union County until 10:15. This is a line of storms moving towards the east. The strongest part of that storm moving towards the Sioux City area. Otter Creek, Waterbury, and Jackson here within the next 10 to 20 minutes or so as we work our way back up to the north. Getting plenty of reports of flooding and also power outages in Plymouth County. Remsen is actually out of power in town there. 10:30, the town of Quimby expected to see some moderate storms move through that area. Cherokee and Plymouth under a severe thunderstorm warning also until 10:15. And then there's the line of storms. No warnings at this hour in Norfolk, but certainly some very heavy rain and frequent cloud to ground lightning. That storm continues up Highway 35 towards Wayne, so that could definitely be a wet commute for the folks still battling to deal with the damage from the tornadoes in that neck of the woods earlier this afternoon. A new severe thunderstorm watch goes until 4 o'clock tomorrow morning, including Sioux City and a good portion of northwest Iowa. The area is off to the east, Esterville, and over towards Irvington. That tornado watch still goes until midnight tonight. We're going to talk about the rest of your forecast for this evening in terms of our thunderstorm chances and our forecast for what should be a very warm and humid Tuesday coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Chad. Tornadoes also hit the town of Wisner, Nebraska this afternoon. This video shows a twister developing just outside of that town. Thanks to Chris McBee for this material. Another tornado video courtesy of Eric Stone shows a storm in Rural Stanton County, that big tornado forming as well way off in the distance. No reports of injuries with either of these funnel clouds at this point. Now, not even the Sioux City metro area spared by bad weather, though there were no confirmed tornado touchdowns. The metro did receive a smattering of hail. These pictures from South Sioux City in the Morningside area show roughly ping pong ball sized hail. And here in Dakota Dunes, we picked up hail roughly about an inch in diameter. Now, of course, we will get more word on those storms as the evening goes on. And we also have word that Northwest Iowa.
Siouxland weather with Chief Meteorologist Chad Sandwell.
Gee, I tell you, terrible reminder, almost like Wayne tornado from what, last fall? Was that October?
Yeah, October 4th last year was the Wayne tornado. This one, of course, across some of the same parts of Nebraska, just a little bit further to the south, and community is going to be devastated by this one for sure. We've seen the devastating pictures, and more storms moving in tonight, so they are definitely going to be getting a little bit more wet weather as we head into the evening hours. This is a view from Dakota Dunes brought to you by Liberty National Bank. Heavy rain. A lot of frequent lightning is what we're seeing right now across a good portion of the area. Still a couple of warnings in place as we close out our evening. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Dakota, Dixon, and Union County. This goes until 10:15. You can see the storm here, the biggest part of the storm heading towards Sioux City. It's been a very slow moving storm, so it's going to dump a lot of rain in a short amount of time. Otter Creek, Waterbury, Jackson. Here by 10:40, it's going to be moving towards Jackson, so a very slow moving system. And then as we look to the northeast, we're looking at portions of Plymouth County where they have a severe thunderstorm warning for also Plymouth and Cherokee until 10:15. Right along Highway 3 there between Lamar's and Cherokee, seeing some of the worst of that weather. We've seen reports of flooding in and around the Lamar's area, so if you do have to head out, just be careful. But my advice, stay indoors tonight. There are definitely some roadways that don't need to be crossed. And still some heavy rain along Highway 35 from Norfolk up towards Wayne, and that continues over to Laurel. See the line kind of bowing out a little bit, indicating that we could still see some very strong winds, maybe some gusts in excess of 60 miles an hour. We take a look, severe thunderstorm watch now into effect until 4 a.m. Wayne and Norfolk in that, as well as Sioux City, Storm Lake, Sac City, and Denison. So it looks like the potential for severe weather continues into the wee morning hours on Tuesday. Here's a look at our rainfall totals over the last 48 hours. This goes back to 10 o'clock Saturday night, and a good portion of eastern Woodbury County, anywhere from about 7 to close to 10 inches of rain since Saturday night. So we've taken that rainfall deficit that we've talked about most of May and June, basically obliterated it. You can see those heavy rains continue up towards Storm Lake and Spencer, and even fairly moderate rainfall across northeast Nebraska over the last 48 hours. And that has led us to an aerial flood advisory. All the counties in green: northeast Nebraska, southeastern South Dakota, extreme northwest Iowa. Flooding certainly a concern. Larry mentioned the I-29 closure just to the south of Sioux Falls. Well, this is the view near Canton this evening. You can see the water up and down I-29 and across I-29. Look right there in the circle. What you see there? A submerged car. So definitely take into account, turn around, don't drown when encountering floodwaters, and that certainly advice was not heeded in that picture. Temperatures right now 68 and rain here in Sioux City. We've got temperatures a little cooler to our northeast. Muggy temperatures even with the rain. Norfolk and Hubbard still in the upper 70s. As we work our way through the night tonight, scattered showers and storms still a possibility. Here's a look at midnight where those storms kind of scatter out and become a little more widespread over the eastern portions of the area. By the time we wake up Tuesday morning, it looks like things will kind of quiet down a little bit. But with the sunshine and a few clouds mixing in, it is going to be a very warm and very humid day on Tuesday, with temperatures expected to top out into the lower to middle 90s. So thunderstorms still likely tonight. 66 for our overnight low. Southeast winds at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. Then for tomorrow, partly cloudy, hot and humid. 94 is our afternoon high. And as we take a look at our extended forecast, it's brought to you by Baumgart's. 92 again on Wednesday, with another chance of storms Wednesday night into Thursday. Larry?
From the Siouxland News Studio, now in full HD, Larry Wentz. Siouxland News at 5 on KMEG 14 starts now.
The scene from over Pilger, Nebraska today. You can see the path that those twin tornadoes took as they went on their way to devastate the small Stanton County town. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Larry Wentz, but the view from the sky only tells half of the story. We sent Siouxland News reporter Joe Bazashia back to Pilger earlier today to assess the damage. Joe, what did you see?
Larry, it was actually worse than you could even imagine. It looked like a scene from a war movie. Earlier this morning, Governor Dave Heineman was in Pilger to see the damage for himself and offer his support to the folks.
Saw the mess. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it.
Disbelief. It was the same look on the faces of people from the small Nebraska town of Pilger.
City Hall's gone, fire department's destroyed, public library severe damage, the Midwest Bank, and we're trying to structurally see if it's even able to go in and secure the contents that are there. Obviously they have monies that we need to account for.
Following the rare double tornado that tore through town yesterday, Governor Dave Heineman arrived this morning to assess the damage. Hugs were given, and so was his promise to help. Having already declared a state of emergency, the National Guard is in Pilger lending a hand, and more help is on the way.
We'll expedite the process. FEMA's always been very, very good to us. We coordinate with them on a series of events over the years, and so we know the FEMA personnel very well. Even though the storm destroyed almost 75% of the homes in the community, Governor Heineman is confident in the people of Pilger. I know Nebraskans, we're resilient, we're going to rebuild. Yep. This town's too tough to die, right?
Yeah. Amen.
With folks already getting to work, signs of hope remain. Now, these people are going to have quite a project rebuilding their town. Governor Heineman did speak of his relationship with FEMA and said that he expects that lawmakers in Washington can provide financial support in a timely manner. The governor said that anyone interested in helping rebuilding the cause can donate to the Nebraska and Southwest Iowa branch of the American Red Cross. Larry?
All right, thanks, Joe. After seeing all of this, it is hard to believe the death toll only stands at 2. One of the victims is 5-year-old Callista Dixon, who died at Faith Regional Health Services in Norfolk. Callista and her mother, Candy Murphy, were in a mobile home on Main Street in Pilger when the twister struck. The 42-year-old Murphy is in a coma at an Omaha hospital. The other victim is 74-year-old David Harrett of Clarkson, Nebraska. Now, he died after his vehicle left the road and he was ejected about 2.5 miles east of Pilger. Now, people from all over Siouxland are finding debris picked up by the tornadoes and high winds and dropped miles away. In fact, a bus driver from Sioux City brought this to our studio this morning. It's a Village of Pilger water and sewer bill dating back to March of 1989. Now, here's a closer look at it. Bus driver found it in the parking lot of the Countryside Nursing Home, the 6100 block of Morningside Avenue. It looks like it's a little worn from the water in the flight. By the way, the total on this water bill from 1989 is $16.20. Here is another piece of debris from Pilger discovered last night by Jill Rose at her home in Dakota Dunes. It's what's left of a bulletin from the 125th anniversary and worship service of St. John Lutheran Church in December of 1972 in Pilger. Unfortunately, that church, along with Midwest Bank, Farmers Co-op, the middle school, City Hall, and the post office in Pilger have all been destroyed. Pilger wasn't the only area community hit hard by twisters. Wakefield also hit last night. One family told us they took shelter in their basement, and it's a good thing since a tree toppled into their home. A shed that was built about a year ago also destroyed, and they got out of their home to discover, well, the trampoline was stuck in a tree.
Yeah, we went down in the basement and weren't sure what to expect when we came up, and yeah, it's just got our trees and new building we just put up last year.
The family was working with chainsaws and heavy equipment to clean up as early as this morning. 3 homes north of Stanton were blown off their foundations by a tornado. One of those homes ended up in a ditch across the road. Now, one of the homeowners says his family went to town to avoid the storm, and by the time they returned, his home was blown away and some ATVs were laying in his basement.
But we're okay, and we're thankful that our kids are safe because they left the house just minutes before it hit, and that was really all that I cared about. So I just really feel for the people, especially over in Pilger, who lost their lives and who are seriously injured, and we're fine. We'll be okay. And
Meanwhile, the Red Cross is asking volunteers to gather in Pilger tomorrow morning to help with the cleanup in Wakefield. Now, you're asked to wear heavy-duty boots and gloves to protect yourself. Volunteers should gather at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning at the Emergency Operations Center in Pilger. Again, those workers will be going to help the community of Wakefield. Now, yesterday, storms caused plenty of problems in Sioux City as well. A couple of viewers sent us these pictures of Perry Creek this morning. You can see it was pretty high. By about 8:30, it had lowered a little bit. This is a corner of Clifton and Dearborn. The creek crested about 4:45 this morning. But 4 hours later, the water's still pretty high and moving very fast. There was a lot of debris like tree branches flowing downstream as well. The Woodbury County Joint Emergency Management Team will be monitoring area rivers this week, but don't expect flooding of either the Floyd or the Missouri. More flooding caused by the 3 days of heavy rain are causing problems in rural Woodbury County. Along Old Highway 141 near the intersection of County Road K67 and Hancock Avenue. The road is covered with water and closed, as you can see. Fields throughout the county are like this. One roughly 3 miles east of Hornick entirely submerged as the Little Sioux River and streams and creeks threaten to leave their banks.